Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the outlet. Alright, so today we're going to talk about integration. Has integration helped or hurt the black community? And that is a good question, right? Has it helped or hurt the black community? Um, alright, so I'm going to say first, we don't have real integration. By law, sure, we are free to integrate, right? The truth is, in America, we have a de facto segregation system. And basically, when I mean de facto, I mean it's it's done not by law, but by their own will, right? It's sort of a system that's outside the law, right? So all over America, many of the neighborhoods are still segregated. There are many white parents that are still teaching their kids to be racist, you could say. I can give you many examples. You could just look in the news and see um, racism, right? Some whites will say it's a cultural difference, but truthfully, it's just plain racism and protecting white supremacy, right? Uh, I've heard many white people, well, kids, say their parents won't even let them date outside their race. Then the question comes to mind: why won't white people share, right? In the past, white people only cared about dominating. That's all they cared about. So white people went to different countries. I mean, we go to the past. White people went to different countries and stole all the resources after killing many of them, right? Many of the people that stayed there in that country. In the past, I mean, that's what has happened. They used a term called manifest destiny in the past. Now, manifest destiny was the idea that white Americans were destined to by God, right? They used religion was destined by God to acquire territory across the world. And the thing is, America took from everyone and never gave back. That belief has kept going through every generation of white people, it seems. Now, not every white person is like that, right? Not every white person is racist, right? There's some white people that are cool. But there are a lot of white people that all they want to do is dominate, right? I mean, in the past, it was white people that put blacks in slavery. They destroyed Black Wall Street. Nothing has ever been given back. Whites will take and don't like to give back. So, a lot of times when white people destroy, they use God as a reason or an excuse. It seems when they use God, I guess you could say it makes them feel good. I guess you could say. Um, when blacks were in slavery, many whites used God or Christianity as an excuse to do it, right? Same thing with manifest destiny. Do you really wonder why kids are running away from religion? You could say it's sort of strange that many blacks are still claiming Christianity, right? When it was slave owners that actually were claiming Christianity, right? Practicing Christians, um, but they were slave owners. That's interesting. Many blacks, instead of breaking the system and fighting back, they're worshiping and practicing Christianity. Now, practicing the same religion as the slave owners. Hmm. As the same people that destroy and all they want to do is dominate. It's not every black, but a large portion that's still religious or practice Christianity. Now, some whites are literally against blacks getting reparations. After everything that has happened to blacks, how can anybody be against reparations for blacks? For whites to say no to reparations, they are basically saying, yes, I support white supremacy, right? I mean, across America, not only are neighborhoods segregated for the most part, but schools are segregated as well. Now, if we're talking about private schools, right, that is where a lot of rich white people go or send their kids. And you basically saying white supremacists for the most part. Now, most blacks can't get into these schools because uh, they don't have the money to get into the private schools. And with the public schools, they're separated by zoning laws, right? So your kid doesn't live in a certain area, they can't go to that school. This means your kid or kids are stuck with that location that they're at. With the school that's in their zone. And usually blacks are zoned to a certain school and whites are zoned to a certain school because they usually don't stay in the same neighborhood. Um, so let's go. Okay, let's talk about this. Most businesses are owned by white people, right? White people try not to hire blacks, and when they do, it's mainly because of affirmative action, you could say. Um, they make sure to hire blacks that don't like their own community a lot of times. So because they hire blacks that don't like their own community, the black community stays the same, right? Because the blacks that are working don't really like their own community. And it stays the same because who they hire, they won't start businesses, right? Martin Luther King realized his mistake back when he tried to rectify the situation. He was taken out right before he was trying to rectify what the mistake he realized he made. And a lot of people say the government took out Nipsey, R.I.P. Nipsey. But so now we have few blacks or a portion of blacks going against their own community for white people. A good portion of blacks are immigrants going against ADOS or American descendants of slaves, right? So that's not cool, right? Because we need unity, right? That's how we basically lost Africa, right? Because we were so divided. They say united we stand, divided we fall. Um, let's talk about colleges, right? PWIs, which stands for predominantly white institutions. Now, these type of colleges don't have a lot of blacks in them, right? And whenever the blacks finish, they don't come back and help their community. Most PWI colleges, to be honest, kind of promote racism. If you want to be honest, right? They promote racism. They promote the racism by not paying attention to the backgrounds of people being led into their colleges, right? And the racist people, and end up being leaders of a lot of times at big companies. So basically, a lot of colleges are promoting racism, and there's a reason why the United States is falling, right? Like everything is, so much of it is in chaos, and there's a good chance of no return, right? You got businesses and colleges that should block racism, but instead many promote it. And this is all over America. A lot of times, especially now, the blacks have nowhere to go but to white businesses, right? Especially when they finish college. Because most colleges don't teach how to create businesses. So now there is also debt in the black community from student loans, and most blacks have to do what white supremacists say because the white supremacist is the boss, and the black person has bills, right? So the blacks who are working at a white company, which is most blacks, kind of have to bend the knee basically because they are dependent on that job and they have debt to pay off. So it's sort of a trap almost if you don't create your own business. Not only have most of our businesses been lost, there are a lot of blacks who have been brainwashed, right? Why do I say this? There are many blacks that will support whites before their own community. Let me say that again. There are so many blacks that will support whites before their own community. You don't see that coming from other communities, basically. And with whites, white supremacy comes first before everything. I'm not saying all whites. I'm also not saying all whites. I want to make that clear. Um, there are some whites that are cool. Now with blacks, they support whites before their own. It's not all of them, but it is a lot of blacks that do that. Now, some blacks are worried if we get reparations, some blacks really will give their money right back to white people. So this shows that there's a financial literacy problem in the black community. These are some of the effects of integration. Now let's talk about television, right? And how it's used to program us. The show Scandal, which shows a black woman who is the white president's side chick. Many black women actually worship that show. And now we have Carmilla Harris, I think her name is, who is the real life Kerry Washington, someone would say. Um, and let me see. And some black women see nothing wrong with this, right? My question is, how does this help our community? Maybe we could give it a pass if our community wasn't in such peril. Also on TV, it shows blacks 90% of the time in a negative way. If you know anything about history, this has been done before. Simply put, it's not a good thing. Most black women in a lot of these shows are shown to be promiscuous, right? Um, and then we have in real life, not too long ago, a chapter of AKA were actively engaged in sex ring or prostitution. Now that's crazy, right? A sorority being caught in a sex ring or committing prostitution. But basically, I think TV does have an effect. Everything is based on money, right? So I'm guessing these sorority girls needed money, and blacks don't have their own business to really help each other out. That's why when I see whites saying they down, I ask them, what black businesses do you support? Do you have any receipts, from when you paid at some of these black businesses? I'm trying to see, are you really down? And we have made Kim Kardashian a lot of money, right? A lot of money. So honestly, what many of the Kardashians have done is confuse black people, to be honest. What businesses did the Kardashians make for black people? What money did she bring into our community? Looks like all she did was take, or the family, all they have done is take money out of the community by bringing Kanye West along with her, and basically putting money back in the hands of white men, it would seem. And Kanye was literally on TV supporting a certain group, right? That doesn't seem to support the black community. And with all this happening, the black community wealth is gone down, right? And then they talking about it's gonna be zero by 2053. That is crazy to me. But we have so many traders within our community, right? And a lot of brainwashing going on. So like, what do you do? Now, honestly, if we stay on the same path, it'd probably go down to zero before 2053. But anyway, simply put, most blacks aren't financially literate. So they think giving a Kardashian money and then not getting the reciprocal is okay. We literally gave Disney millions, maybe even close to $1 billion for Black Panther, right? Well, it's capitalism. The owner gets most of that money. The owner of Disney is white, right? The original owner of Disney, the co-founder, was a white guy. And he was known to not support the black community, you could say. So that money goes into the white community and doesn't touch ours. So, and then in a capitalist society, the owner also is able to give his money to politicians, right? And there's a lot of white business owners, right? They give their money to certain politicians to make laws, or in some way they give money to politicians. All right, and a lot of times when they make these laws, they're not aligned with the black community, right? They don't help us. They help white people, but not black people. So it matters who you give your money to. To give money to somebody is to give power to somebody. I'm going to bet many laws that that most laws that white male owners won't pass, 98% probably don't support the black community. So you see where I'm going with that. Do you remember Citizens United? It's a law that's allowed a lot of money to be put into the hands of politicians in their campaigns, right? And it's all about the money. So many of us blacks gives to white supremacists and wonder why we doing so bad. When I say the programming is serious in our community, the programming is crazy. Um, then we have the black parents haven't been protecting the children, right? There isn't enough black media, which is finally starting to emerge though now. We need our own movies, superheroes, and etc. Right? We just need our own stuff. And it needs to be done by real black people and not the traders. I mean, at one point we had our own football league and basketball league, professional leagues, um, basically. That is. So we gave it all up, right, to billionaires. We basically have to stop hurting our own community. Being in their league doesn't help our community, right? All that money goes back into their community. Um, so being in their league doesn't help our community, basically. So, and if white people want, and if white people will support the NBA and not a league owned by black people, it will only show their racism. All that money in the NBA and NFL does not trickle down to our community. We are literally making their communities richer. And the same thing with college basketball and college football. And it's even probably worse for college basketball and football, right? It's kind of like white people got together in a meeting, right, at a round table, and decided we should let Martin Luther King bring in integration. And then they probably did an evil laugh. um, they were like, we can take all their money. And if you pay attention, it kind of has happened, right? They have taken a lot of our money, and now we're even psychologically messed up. I mean, we used to educate ourselves, but now we have white people running all the school systems. And there are very few black school systems at any level, right? Or black schools. Black schools that are actually run by black people. Now, black people were so glad in the past that white people stopped beating them that they didn't realize that they had fallen into a trap. Cause that's sort of what has happened to black people, right? We have fallen into a trap, and the only real remedy to this is black ownership and black businesses. There's a reason Chinese hire their own constantly, right? Chinese people have their own supermarkets, and now I see why. I mean, I'm even seeing supersized grocery stores coming from Chinese people. The Mexicans hire their own. Everybody knows what is up except for black people, it seems. And it's time for us to change that. We have to do what our parents couldn't do. We have to come together. It's time for unity. Also, if America wants true integration, America would have to pass new laws. They would have to, because white people will not change by themselves. It's not all white people, but it's a great number of them, right? I mean, there's a reason certain people get elected. Some new laws could be like giving incentives, right? Meaning, make it to where the value of our community goes up. if it's a mixed community or a diverse community, right? And the value of the houses would go up if it's a more mixed community. And when I say mix, I'm basically talking about racial diversity, right? Not only do white people not want to change, they are teaching their children the same stuff that has been taught among them for many decades. It's not all white people. Let me make sure I say that again. Because some white people are John Browning, right? And a John Brown is a white person that died for blacks back in the slave days. And the truth is, there are actually some white people, I hate to say it, that are more down than some black people are for the black community, which is a crazy thing to say. I mean, blacks have constantly sold each other out. My message to many white people, a lot of times, I see white people hanging with black people, right? Or trying to hang with certain black people, trying to make black friends. That's cool, I understand, you know. But there are a lot of black people who hate their own community or race. A lot of times, that's who you be talking to and supporting, right? For white people, like they end up um, supporting blacks that don't support their own community. And if the black person isn't supporting their own community, white people, why are you supporting that black person? In a way, that's racism, supporting a black person that doesn't support their own community or hates his own community, right? So it's actually racism supporting that person. So yeah, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But that's all I'm gonna say on this one. Um, we simply just have to have unity in the black community. The time is now, not later. And I will see y'all next time on the next episode.